Hey, how's it going, lads and ladies? Brad the Guitarologist here. It's the day before Thanksgiving, and I have a lot of box openings to get to. This is the biggest one of the lot. So this is from a company that everything they have sent me so far, I think all of the videos of the stuff that they've sent me, pretty much with one exception, which was a piano, all of the guitars have gotten more than 100,000 views. So I have great expectations of this video. You guys better pull through for me. But yeah, let's open this box and check this out. So you can see that this is a really oversized box. And I've commented on that before with this company when they've sent me guitars and they've been in these giant boxes like this. But I think I figured out why they do it. When they ship it in this giant box like this with the other box inside of this one, it makes it much harder to steal. Imagine being a thief and coming up to your porch and you're gonna steal this box and you realize how big it is when you start carting it off and you're like, holy shit, this thing is way too big to even fit in my car. So I honestly, I think that's why they do this. It makes perfect sense now. In fact, I think it's kind of genius, really. All right, so let's open this thing up. And like I said, I already know that there is another box inside of this box, and it probably will be flopping around, which I don't like that part. It would be nice if they would put a little bit, a little bit more material to kind of cushion the internal box. But anyway, as some of you probably have guessed already, this is a Fesley, and we're gonna open this thing up. And if it's half as cool as the Les Paul style guitar that we opened up last time, this thing is going to be supremely cool. And here again, you get a gig bag with this package. It's not just the guitar, you're getting a gig bag. You're also getting a bunch of accessories usually with these. Uh-oh, this is kind of foreboding because last time we did end up having to use this fret eraser. I'm hoping this time we don't have to use it. It is Fesley branded, which is interesting, but this will be used if we have any issues with the frets being rough, like they were with that Les Paul. That was the only thing I found wrong with the Les Paul, was that the frets were a bit rough. And while I said it was unfortunate that I ended up having to do a little bit of fret dressing on that guitar, it was still well worth what they were asking online for the thing. Another thing here, obviously, is comes with a cable. This is a perk they really wouldn't even have to throw in. I would almost prefer that they did not throw the cable in, and maybe a couple of the other things too, sometimes that they throw in. But the cable for sure, I mean, it's probably cheap to them, probably wouldn't knock that much off the price, but I would almost prefer that they left this out and just knock the value off the price. Probably, for me at least, the same could be said of the gig bag, because although it's nice to have a gig bag and it's nice to be able to ship a guitar in a gig bag so it arrives safely, I rarely ever use a gig bag. I don't really transport my guitars that often, and I have plenty of gig bags. If I wanted to transport a guitar, I could do that already. They left out the gig bag and left out the cable and just sold the guitar separately, or offered that as an option, perhaps. That might be something they think about in the future. Offer it as an option to get without the accessories. This is another accessory too that they could leave off, because I just don't need another strap. I have plenty of straps. So that's really nice for beginners that they do include this. And I understand that they're competing with other manufacturers who offer all this stuff as accessories. It goes into some people's calculation of what's the better deal. You get some picks in here as well, which is cool. You get a little warranty, some kind of little guarantee card here. Yeah, you can contact the support team to get your extended warranty activated. Get a little instruction manual here, which if you need an instruction manual for how to pick a guitar, you might as well just go to YouTube. Of course, you're already there. It's nice if you're a beginner and you don't have any of this stuff to get this stuff. Don't get me wrong. But for those of us who are more established, and we've got 20 guitars and stuff around the house already, it might be nice to have the option of just getting the guitar. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Is that all the accessories? No, we've got Allen keys. Okay, they sent me the Telly version. I thought they were going to send me a strap, but they're sending me the Telly. Okay. All right, so we got a plastic bag. That's going to help keep the moisture down. There should be a desiccant pack underneath this. You get some hang tags here as well. Wait, this instrument is equipped with Grover machine heads? Really? Okay, so already I'm kind of stunned. This instrument is equipped with G2 Grover machine heads, a division of Grover Musical Products. These must be like Chinese-made Grovers is what they are. Look at this little chord chart here, which would be decent for some beginners. There was one chord on here on the last one. I think that was wrong, though. Someone pointed it out. I can't remember which chord it was. Oh, it's the F. There it is. Just add a dot right there, and then this chord chart will be correct. So there you go. You get a chord chart for you beginners. And like I said, there should be a desiccant pack, maybe even 2 underneath this to keep the strings fresh. I'm worried less about the strings, actually, than I am the frets. But the desiccant packs, what these are for, when they're shipping overseas, they're going to be out on the ocean in a shipping container on a ship, encountering God knows what kind of conditions out there. Oh, these frets are way better than that Les Paul. That Les Paul was unplayable when I first got it. I actually had to use this to clean the frets and to make it playable. This doesn't need anything. The frets are not sharp. The frets are not corroded. They're not, rough. Yeah, these are good. As long as they're flat, they're going to be good to go. But man, look at this thing. Look at the sparkle finish on this. Killer sparkle finish. Man, this is a nice guitar. Is this an actual roasted maple neck? It is, isn't it? Yeah, this is a roasted maple neck. This is not finished to make it look roasted maple. This is actual roasted maple. This is killer. This feels awesome. You can see the grain in the skunk stripe. I mean, this is not slathered with like a bunch of finish like a lot of Chinese guitars are. This is very well done. This is very well done. The Breeze series. And yes, indeed, they have Grover G2s on here. Grover's roasted maple with a skunk stripe with the cutaway heel. You get a metallic finish. How much is this damn thing? This has a Wilkinson bridge, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's a respectable bridge. That's a good bridge. This is nice. It's got Wilkinson pickups. The Wilkinson isn't especially known for its pickups. They are, however, known for their hardware, bridges and stuff. But if these pickups are half as good as their hardware usually is, those should be pretty decent. Man, this is a great looking guitar. Holy shit. This is killer. This thing feels awesome. The weight, it's not overwhelming. I think Fesley's done it again. I don't know how they're doing this, but they've done it again. If it sounds half as good as it looks and feels, this is going to be an absolute home run. This is one of the best Chinese knockoff, copies of a basic Fender or Gibson that I've seen, besides that last one that they sent me, which was also incredible. Is this real rosewood on the fretboard? That's real rosewood. Look at the fretboard. That's rosewood. That's actual rosewood. Our close family member of rosewood. Look at it. That's real wood. You barely even get real wood anymore half the time. That's either actual rosewood or that's like a Pau Ferro or something like that, which is a close family member to rosewood species. But that is, wow. I'm bowled over, man. Again, this thing, man, that switch feels nice. Dude, these feel great. We'll pop this off and see what's under the cavity in a little bit. That's a bone nut as well. That's a bone nut. That is a bone nut. That's a bone nut. This has got Grover tuners, roasted maple, neck, bone nut, great frets. The fret job is perfect. Perfect. Did they send me a ringer here? Did they send me like the best guitar that they had off the line? Maybe they did. I don't know. I doubt it, because I think this came from the local Amazon warehouse. This didn't come directly from them. This is the U.S. warehouse that this was shipped from. This wasn't shipped directly from Fesley. So chances are this is not a ringer. This is like, whatever you order, you're going to get something similar to this. Look at this guitar. Dude, we're getting Grover tuners, roasted maple, rosewood fretboard, immaculate fret job. Dude, that's pretty much arrow straight. This is a killer guitar. You get the cutaway, you get metallic finish, which is usually an upcharge on something like a Fender, or a lot of times it is. Not always, but sometimes it is. You get these, you get actual Wilkinson branded name brand pickups and hardware. What the hell? And plus you get all the accessories. You get a pile of accessories, gig bag. The game is over for the guitar market. It's over. I mean, you guys are always on me like, hey, Brad, why are you even looking at these Chinese guitars? Why are you giving them the time of day and all this stuff? Dude, look at this fucking thing. Look at it. Look at it. Tell me why. It'll cost you twice as much to get into a Mexican guitar that says Fender on the headstock instead of Fesley. I mean, it makes no sense at all. I mean, forget about the fact that Fender hasn't looked at me twice in all the years I've been on YouTube and been doing this kind of stuff, been a critic, a reviewer, a repairer. I don't have the largest following on this platform. That much is clear. But also, I'm not a nobody. And Fender's never reached out to me one time. Not one time have they reached out and said, hey, we'd like to send you something if you'd like to check something out, or would you like to cooperate with us and do something, or look at one of our new models, or ask my opinion on something. But a company like Fesley, they do it like every other month. They're wanting to send me something or ask my opinion on a new model. And I mean, you guys want to know why I review their stuff? Because they're the ones who want to dance with me. That's why. They're the ones who want to take me to the dance. So I'll say, sure, I'll look at your stuff. And when they send me something like this, I haven't even plugged this thing in yet. Guys, listen, here's the deal. I've been playing guitar now since about 1990 or 91. I've been playing guitar almost 35 freaking years, which when I say that, it makes me feel extremely old, but it's the truth. I've been playing guitar for the vast majority of my life on this planet. I am a musician. I'm a YouTuber. This is what I do. The game is over. The game's over. I don't see how American companies can compete with this. American companies cannot compete with this. They just can't. There is no American company that can make a guitar superior enough to this to justify the price differences that we see. There is no quality jump from this guitar right here to, and I'm saying this again, I know before I've even plugged it in, but I already know. And if you know, you know. Guitar players who've been playing for 35 years, I can put my hands on this one time, and you're the same way. If you know, you know. This neck feels like you close your eyes, you feel this neck, you could be playing a boutique $3,000 guitar. The only way you would know the difference is if your hand comes up here and you feel this little stupid QC sticker right here that tells you that it's some kind of import, most likely. Without that sticker right there, you wouldn't know shit. You wouldn't know shit. You'd start tuning it as well, and it's like, oh, it feels like it's got Grovers on it, because it does have Grovers on it. You'd be like, man, it feels like the neck is a gun oil finish neck or something. I know it's probably not, but it feels like tongue oil or like gun oil finish. And here's the deal. I can show you emails where I actually emailed back and forth with Fesley months and months and months ago when they were thinking about coming out with different lines of guitars. And I told them, I was like, look, here's what you're up against. And I gave them the rundown. I told them, I was like, you're up against guitars that have stock Grover tuners. They have roasted maple necks, which are all the rage now. You know, everybody wants a roasted maple neck, and you just kind of have to step up and do that. Real rosewood. I told them all these specs, and they listened. Look at this. They listened. And honestly, because they listened, it's game freaking over. It's game over. There is no more, oh, made in China. It's done, dudes. The only reason we got to the point now where made in China is becoming a threat is because it is a threat. There is no American company, including Fender, that could build a guitar much better than this, including a Fender USA could build a Telecaster that was much better than this Telecaster. I'm telling you right now, without even plugging this thing in. Now, maybe when I plug it in, maybe these Wilkinson pickups aren't great. That's possible, maybe. But how much is a set of pickups? You got a switch and 2 pots and a couple of pickups. That's it. The rest of this, though, there is not a thing wrong with any of this. I mean, bone nut. Look at the nut too. Look at how it's cut. Like I said, man, 35 years on this planet playing guitars doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. I know exactly what I'm looking at. And what I'm looking at is the end of the game for the U.S. guitar market. Nobody can compete with this. Nobody. Make a guitar of this quality at this price point. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. Even if you were to make it in the lowest cost area in our country, which usually is the South, You know, you're talking about places like Tennessee, Kentucky, you know, places around where I live, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, maybe down south. There's a lot of pockets of communities where you could put in a factory and build things pretty cheaply in the U.S. And I would love to see more companies do that. But if they could do it and survive and still thrive as a company, they would already be doing it. They would already be doing it. Heck, PV was doing it. PV was doing it for a long time, and they threw in the towel. They realized we can't compete. And they built great guitars in the U.S. that were on par with this. And a lot of people like me would pick up a PV guitar especially from the late era PVs, like from the 90s on, that were built in the U.S. They would pick up something that was CNC made and perfect, you know, perfect setup, everything. Awesome PV guitar. And they couldn't compete because of the name thing, and people couldn't jump over that hurdle. They just couldn't discount it enough for people to be able to say, you know, I'm just going to spring up to a USA Fender or a Mexican Fender, something that says Fender on the headstock. But this right here, dude, because of the difference in price, if you're shopping for a Telecaster, look no further. And I haven't even plugged this son of a bitch in yet. This is, man. I wish I could get across my sincerity here, because a lot of you don't know me from Adam. You haven't followed the channel. You don't know when, you know, because there's so much AI slop now. There's so many insincere people who do reviews. And just because somebody sends them a free trinket, they think they've got to suck their dick. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not like that. If this was a piece of shit, I'd be the first person to tell you and wouldn't care. I don't need another guitar. I've got hundreds of guitars. I mean, look at my living. I mean, I don't need guitars. I don't need them. There's a whole pile of them back there. You know, there's another pile back there you can't see. There's piles upon piles more guitars in various places. I mean, there's another one down here. Look, guys, I don't need guitars. I don't need them. But like I said, these are just things I collect, man, and I don't need them. Here's another one down here. That's a vintage Gibson. I don't need another guitar. Despite the fact that these guys do send me this stuff for free, they do pay me for a review, and I'm not going to do a review without getting paid for it on this channel. And the reason is because the production time to do a review is so great that if I did not do that, I'd be basically losing money, because I could be doing something else making money in the time that I'm spending editing a video like this. But dudes, I'm telling you, man, for those of you who have been following this channel for a long time, you know me. You know if this was a piece of crap, I'd be telling you. And you can look at it for yourself. This is not a piece of crap. Look at this guitar. I mean, look at this guitar. Look at the quality of the maple. If you can't see for yourself that this is a great guitar for the money, then there's something wrong with you. But I'm here to tell you, from somebody who knows, and somebody's been doing this a long time, the game is over. The game's over, and this is proof. Let's plug this thing in and see how good it sounds. I'm sure it's going to be just fine. I'm absolutely blown away by this guitar. I haven't even plugged it in. Massive. This neck feels so freaking good. This neck feels amazing. Dude, this is a killer guitar. Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't even look at the inlays on this. This thing has got actual pearl, because I'm seeing some striations in that, like it's actual pearl, possibly. Tuners are smooth. It's kind of easy to pull the high string off the edge of the fretboard, so that is a negative. But it also looks to me like the nut could actually stand to go toward the bass end just a smidge. So I might actually come in here and just tap that over slightly, maybe, and kind of re-glue it in place a little further over. Probably be fine for most players, but for me, I pull so hard sometimes to do pull-offs, so I end up pulling the string off the into the fretboard. This feels like it's probably like a 12-inch radius. I think this might be 12-inch. So it obviously doesn't have that vintage Fender feel, which most people wouldn't want the vintage feel anyway, honestly, because when you bend a string up here high on a vintage Fender, it'll usually fret out. So far, no fret outs, anything like that. Getting a little bit of a buzz on this low string. I don't know why. Wonder if it's in the nut. Might be in the little something in the nut slot. I'm not sure. What this reminds me of is that time frame, you know, back what was late 70s or early 80s, whenever the Japanese companies started to actually surprise us with how good their guitars were becoming. You know, and brands like Tokai and Burny, you know, started making these Les Paul copies and stuff that were just, a lot of people said, and rightly so, were every bit as good as the stuff that was coming out of Gibson at the time. That's what this reminds me of. That is, we've gotten there with the Chinese. It's madness. And this neck, I swear to God, if I close my eyes, there is no way I would tell the quality difference from this neck to that, for instance, that $3,500 Charvel Guthrie Govan guitar that I had on the channel a while back. That was also satin finished roasted maple neck. It feels every bit as nice as that neck to the touch. This represents the Tokai Burny era of freaking Chinese guitars. The United States can't compete with this. The only thing we can really compete on is, you know, the idea of heritage and things like that. You know, the intangibles, the idea of buying made in the USA and things like that. You know, trying to support local business or local workforce. You know, things like that. If you're into that, more power to you, man. I'm not trying to dissuade you from buying American, but what I'm trying to tell you, man, is the game's up. It's over. As far as spec for spec, we can't compete with this. You know, a few years back, a couple other companies sent me some guitars. Galeri springs to mind, you know, which is a budget brand. And they're Chinese also. And, you know, they're making the sub $100 kind of level guitars. This is not that. This is not that. This is more on the level of like Harley Benton and that kind of thing. Yeah, this could go toe-to-toe with any of the Harley Bentons I've ever played. The whole Amazon guitar craze is there for a reason, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon, because there's no way for us to compete unless we put 300% tariffs on this. We would have to put 100% tariff on all imported Chinese guitars to even start to compete with this. Because what are they charging for this thing? I think it's like sub $300 you can get one of these damn things for. And seriously, the equivalent Mexican Telecaster with Fender on the headstock that has this level of spec is easily going to cost you twice as much, 3 times as much at this point, actually. Man, I don't know what else to say. I need to gather my thoughts on this, because this is probably a whole nother video of its own. All right, guys, so we've got this Fesley up here on the bench. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see on the strobe how close the intonation is. The E is actually slightly sharp. It's not very sharp, but it's slightly sharp, enough that I will adjust it. So we want to screw it in and push the saddle back that way just a little bit. There it is, dead on. Okay, the B string. That one is very, very close also. It's just slightly sharp. That is ever so slightly flat now, which is exactly where I want it. Now the G. That G is dead on, so that's good. Now the D. Slightly sharp. Perfect. That A is dead on. Now the E, this is the string that's got the little tiny bit of buzz on it, and I'm not sure why. I'm gonna guess that it has something to do with the nut, because it does go away when I press down here. So I think it might be it might just be a slight offcut on the back edge of the nut. I don't see any burrs or anything on the saddle. So if it's not the string, then it's got to be on that nut. Okay, that is slightly sharp, and it might actually fix itself when we fix this little bit of intonation here. We might get lucky. It actually looks like the E might be slightly low also compared to the rest of the strings. But let me see if we can fix the intonation first. Still slightly sharp. Gonna drag it back a bit, and then I'm gonna grab the Allen keys that came with it, and I'm gonna raise this saddle just ever so slightly also on this E. Okay, that intonation's dead on. Let me grab that hex key. Just raise this just a little bit. I'm not going to measure anything here. I'm just gonna jack it up slightly. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. That's darn close now. I mean, and it wasn't that far off. I've seen much, much worse from factory guitars, I'll tell you that. But just so you know, it wasn't perfect. It could be improved. If you have a strobe tuner, it might be worth a little bit of your time to well, with any guitar, brand new guitar that you get, it might be worth your time to set it up properly, dial that intonation in, all that stuff. And they do provide you the hex keys to raise and lower your saddles. Now I want to see what's up with the nut. Okay, this is a set of files that I got on Temu, and these are pretty cheap files. I mean, you can find these, I think, on Amazon also. I think what they did was they slanted their file a little bit too far, and the back side of the nut is slightly lower than it needs to be. I've had that problem before in guitars, and flattening out the nut slot a little bit usually fixed it. So also sometimes just cleaning up the inside of the nut slot a little bit, just I rotate the file a little bit and just kind of file it out to get any little burrs out of there that might be causing that. Right now I'm not taking off much material. I'm just trying to get any little burrs that might be clinging on there and causing a problem. Let's check that. That seems to have fixed it. There it is. Well, there's still a little bit of a buzz. Hang on. Let me see if there's something on this saddle that I'm missing here. I'm going to loosen this E string down. I'm also kind of wondering whether it might be one of these springs, too, that I'm hearing buzz. I don't know. See if we can tighten that in the saddle a little bit better. Oh, that's far better. I mean, that took like 2 seconds. That's all it was. It must have had a little burr in the nut right there, and I think maybe it just needed to be tightened down the saddle a little bit too, because right now that buzz is gone. It's totally gone. Now we need to move the nut over just a little bit. I showed earlier where the nut is a little bit too far that way, so I want it to be moved this way some. So to do that, we're just going to gently tap on it. That went way further than I wanted it to, but that's okay. Now it's like way overhanging the edge here, see? We'll just tap it back some. That'll be way better right there. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just drop a tiny dab of super glue on the back side of the nut right here so that it kind of holds. Okay. There you can see I just put a little bit of super glue on the back side of that, and I think we've got that where we need it now. Yeah, I like that better. That feels better. I didn't even have to move it all that far at all. It just moved over ever so slightly. The string is going to be closer to the edge of the fretboard. I'd rather it be the bottom E string, because I'm never in a situation where I'm trying to push the string up this way. But on these low strings, because of the nature of a pull-off, you know, you put your finger on the string and then you drag it to pull off. Sometimes if the string is too close to the edge of the fretboard, it'll just go right off the edge, and you can't really execute a pull-off very easily on that upper string. So that means no Iron Maiden for you. All the little issues are fixed now. So we've got the intonation dialed in, we've got the nut dialed in, and man, this thing, honestly, this thing is great. While we got it up here on the bench too, I'm just kind of curious. I do want to see, I am curious for now what's under here. Let's check this out. Wilkinson does make both Alnico and ceramic magnet pickups. Neither would shock me. Even if it was Alnico in here, I would not be shocked by that. We do have the little dime-sized pots and the little PCB switch style, which I'm not real fond of these switches, I'll be honest. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, this could all be upgraded for sure. This is not the greatest stuff in the world as far as the electronics, but it will do. Until we feel we need to change it, we'll leave it for now. But yes, absolutely, the electronics could be upgraded to some better stuff. I think everything's going to be fine.
Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video on this Fesley Telecaster copy Breeze Series. I'll put links down in the description, also in a pinned comment if you want one of these. I think this is an FTC1000 or something like that is the model name on this. I got the blue finish, but it also comes in like black, I think, and sunburst also. Killer guitar. Oh my god. This thing is worth every single freaking penny. I think I saw on there also where they're selling right now, they're selling one of these with one of those little amplifiers I showed from another company, but Fesley has one that's exactly like the one I've already shown in another video. So you can get this guitar with that amplifier, which I highly recommend both of these. Man, if you know anybody that wants a decent guitar at really good money, get one of these right now. And that'll do it. And for now, we'll see y'all later.